Most of you know my slogan, making a difference one home at a time. I really do believe that that is the core of my values. I'm a veteran. I served in the military and the U.S. Navy during Desert Storm. I'm also an investor, and I'm someone who knows a thing or two about moving because I've done it a lot in my life. I want to share today not just so you know what I do, but why I do it and how it can help the people that you care about. So I was born to move, but I was built to serve. So I was born into a military family right here in the Tri-Cities. I was born on Fort Lee at Kenner Army when it was a hospital. My grandfather was in the Army and my parents were very young, still 15, 16 years old. I moved around a lot because I was a military child. My dad joined the Navy shortly after I was born, so that brought lots of moving into my life. And then I joined the military right out of high school. I was 17 years old. I graduated high school, graduated boot camp, went to A school and had my orders to Guam all before I turned 18 years old. So I moved a lot as a very young new adult. In the Navy, I was an aviation structural mechanic, and that just basically means I did body work on helicopters. So I worked on search and rescue H-46s, and that's where they go out into the sea where people are stranded or when people have hurricanes and they are flooded. This can go out, it sends a hoist down, it picks people up whether they're injured or just need to be rescued and bring them back. So I worked on those. A big part of what I did was routine inspections, so pre-flight and post-flight inspections. Those require lots and lots of attention to detail because if you don't pay attention, it could mean the difference between life and death. And we did have some incidents where we did lose some life. We also had situations where I went against what the higher ups were telling me. They wanted me to sign off on an inspection and I wouldn't do it because there was a piece missing, and I checked the logbook and that piece wasn't showing up anywhere in the logbooks as being missing. And so I wouldn't sign off on it even though I had chiefs and officers telling me just sign off, we've got a mission to do, and I wouldn't. So it required everybody in our squadron to go out to the flight line, all line up, and we did what was called a FOD detection, so foreign object detection, and we all walked in a straight line. We didn't find it anywhere, so that bird couldn't fly. We ended up checking the helicopter, we call it a bird. We checked the helicopter again, and that piece was lodged in the flight controls. So had that helicopter gone up and flown, it would have gotten lodged in the flight controls and they could have lost control and had a crash. I was awarded with Safety Pro of the Week, the month, the year, and I got to go to Hawaii on a special mission to inspect helicopters in Hawaii from the Marine Corps because the Navy was purchasing them, and I got to be part of that crew doing the safety checks on those helicopters. So with all that said, all that moving created instability for me, and from that came my mission. I help others find home because home creates stability and peace in my mind, and I want to create that for other people. All right, so that leads us into home is where stability is. Homeownership changed my life, and I believe it's going to be able to change other people's lives too. Real estate gave me options when life threw curveballs my way. And because I had real estate, because I had invested in real estate, even though they were my personal homes, it gave me some options in life. And my mission is to help others unlock that same freedom. So I don't have to work anymore, and most of you may not know that, but I have rental properties, and that income along with my VA benefits is enough to carry me, but I choose to work. I choose to do what I do because I believe in the mission and I'm passionate about what homeownership has done for me, and I know I can do that for other people. Sorry, very passionate. With real estate, I feel that it's real life wealth building. So I bought my first home when I was 25 years old, and I lived in that home a couple of years. I bought my second home shortly afterwards. While I still had my first home, I bought it for $80,000 and I rented it out for a couple of years, and then I sold that home for $150,000. So almost double what I purchased it for, and it gave me the ability to be able to stay home with my kids a little bit more and transition from the corporate world into real estate full-time just by having that cash come in. So I lived in my second home I purchased for $245,000. I lived there for a few years, and then I moved again and rented that home out for about 10 years. Its current value is over $400,000 right now. I am back living in that home. So again, that comes back to the options. It gave me options of where I wanted to live, what I could do with my life when life life through those curveballs. My third home I purchased in Prince George at $192,000. It was a foreclosure, and I was using my VA loan, and it was a VA foreclosure. So it was a very tricky transaction because VA, when they have a foreclosure, they don't do a lot of the things that most sellers do. And when you're using your VA loan, you can't do a lot of the things that need to be done, like well water tests. Those can't be on the buyer side of the transaction, and the seller wasn't willing to do it. There were a lot of things to work through, but I managed to get through that. When I sold that home, I sold it for $375,000. So again, it gave me more cash flow, more options. The fourth example here, and I've bought more homes than this. These are just the examples I'm sharing. This home I purchased for $130,000 during the height of COVID when there were no properties to be found. I was really in a desperate situation for somewhere to live. This home had been on the market for 3 weeks, surprisingly, but it was because it was unlivable, and it was at a price where it was just outside of what investors were willing to spend. The home had holes in the roof. It had failing flooring, had sunk about 2 inches. The doors didn't lock because the uneven floors. There were no working toilets. There were lots of problems with this house. I put an offer in just below list price of $130,000 with the caveat that I could take possession of the property immediately. That gave me the ability to go in, clean it up, make it livable enough so that me and my kids could move in there. Again, I was in a tough situation, but was able to clean it up. And I have that house rented now. The going value for that house is $1,600 a month. And that current value for the sale, if I were to sell right now, $250,000. So I bought it for $130,000. It's more than doubled. And this is the home. You can't really see it real well here because it had a lot of overgrowth in front of it. But here's another picture. That was before, and that's what it looks like now. So a lot of sweat equity, a lot of my personal sweat went into that property. All right, so with all of this information that I have, all of this personal experience, I'm able to help other people in lots of different scenarios because I've experienced it myself. So who do I help? I help first-time home buyers. I help investors. I help people who are looking to sell. I help people who are looking to sell and buy, and some of them sell first, then buy. Some of them buy first, then sell. Some of them do it all in the same day, so it can get tricky just depending on what their goals are. People who think home ownership is unattainable, and people think that for different reasons. Prices are high, interest rates are high. They may think they have to have a lot of money down payment. There are lots of resources. I can refer them to Mike, and he can help them with down payment assistance or with grants. So it is attainable if somebody really wants to do it. I work with them, and Mike does too, works with them until we're able to help them with strategy, and we have compassion, and we have solution-minded people in our group that we can help them through that. So real people, real impact. Right now I'm working with a couple who live in Arizona. They're moving here. Mike is working on their loan, and Appomattox, Linda is working on their title work. And so we had the home inspection yesterday, and things are going really well. And these are people that are transferring here for jobs, not military, but they're transferring here. They don't know anything about the area. So I've gone around and taken video of the whole area around the house that they're considering. I did that for lots of properties until they chose one. We had lots of conversation, lots of video, just to get them familiar with the area because they're moving here one way or another, but I want them to be in a home that they're happy with when they get here.